Good day. Here are the stories for Manila Times for Saturday, March 26, 2022. A prominent United Kingdom-based research institution expects broad policy continuity in the Philippines following the elections on May 9. Fitch Solution believes that regardless of who wins president in this year's election, they expect a smooth transition to the new administration with only minor changes to economic policy. It is said Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr.'s policy approach is the most close to outgoing President Rodrigo Duterte's, while Vice President Maria Leonor Leni Robredo presents the largest divergence, but both of them will provide some policy continuity. Marcos has consistently led pre-election surveys while Robredo has been drawing record crowds to her campaign rallies. Presidential Advisor for Entrepreneurship Jose Maria Joey Concepcion III believed the economic plans of presidential candidate Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. will help lift up the country's micro, small, and medium enterprises, or MSMEs. Concepcion, founder of Go Negosyo, said Marcos understands how to develop the MSMEs, which makes up 99.5% of the country's businesses and generate millions of jobs. Marcos and Robredo attended the KUWTT Talks Forum last December and laid out their plans for MSMEs if they win the presidency. The two candidates have since echoed these plans in media and public events. During the forum, Marcos discussed rationalizing taxes and giving a portion of the internal revenue allotment to MSMEs as well as creating credit rating scores for small enterprises. He also stressed the vital role MSMEs will play in the country's effort to recover from the economic slump triggered by the COVID-19 pandemic. Two women journalists on Friday said news reporting is an exciting career, but it needs a lot of patience, courage, and hard work. Speaking during the Manila Times Campus Press Forum, Australian Alison Jackson, Philippine Bureau Chief of the Agence France Presse, or AFP, said it is exciting to be in the news media, but one needs to have a lot of patience, courage, and determination. It can also be dangerous, Jackson said, recalling the times when she was assigned to cover conflicts such as the war in Afghanistan. She also warned those who seek a financially rewarding career to stay out of journalism because there is no money in it. Filipino journalist Marga Ortigas, former CNN London and Al Jazeera correspondent, said she started her career in journalism writing for her school paper when she was 12 years old. That was at a time when the Philippines was still under martial law and it was a very confusing time for a young girl like her. She recalled the time when she and her paper staff were trying to piece together an article on the assassination of former Senator Benigno Ninoy Aquino Jr. They interviewed several people for the article, but when they submitted their story, the school authority shut down the paper saying it lacked a permit from the government. Ortigas said it was the first time she experienced censorship, but that did not stop her from embracing journalism as a career. Vice President Maria Leonor Leni Robredo has asserted that she does not support remaining neutral in the Russia-Ukraine crisis because international conflicts must be resolved according to the rule of law and people must take a stand. Robredo, a candidate for president in the May 2022 elections, was interviewed in Go Negosyo's KUWTT Talks, the presidential series, where she was asked what she will do to ensure that the Philippines will remain neutral on the Russia-Ukraine conflict while supporting a United Nations resolution. During the General Assembly's 11th Special Emergency Session in New York City on February 28 and March 2, 2022, the Philippines joined other countries in voting in support of the resolution condemning Russia for invading Ukraine. Robredo thanked the Department of Foreign Affairs for assisting in the transport to Poland of Filipinos in Ukraine as a way of doing the right thing in the Russia-Ukraine issue. A recent meeting between President Rodrigo Duterte and Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. does not automatically mean an endorsement of the ex-senator's bid for president in the May 2022 elections was given by the chief executive, Malacanang said on Friday. Acting Deputy Spokesman and Presidential Communications Operations Office or PCOO Undersecretary Chris Ablan said while it is confirmed that there was a meeting between the president and Marcos, he said that the president has not endorsed anyone who could succeed him. 100 days after the onslaught of Typhoon Odette, international name Rai, in the Philippines in December 2021, United Nations Resident Coordinator and Humanitarian Coordinator in the Philippines, Gustavo Gonzalez, called for the provision of durable shelters to those affected by the typhoon. In his midterm review of the response and the remaining gaps to support the affected population, he urged providing shelters to thousands of people whose homes were damaged or destroyed. Gonzalez said over 31,000 people are still displaced, with some still living in evacuation centers and others with relatives. Topping business, Australia-based ANZ Research believed the Philippine economy would grow below the government's target range this year, citing the potential underlying impact of rising fuel and food prices on business sentiment, investment plans, and eroding consumers' purchasing power. In a report released on Friday, the research firm expects the Philippines' gross domestic product or GDP to grow by 6.5%, which is lower than the Interagency Development Budget Coordination Committee's 7 to 9% growth target for this year, but higher than the 5.6% actual GDP growth in 2021. The recent spike in global oil prices resulting from the Russia-Ukraine conflict, it underscored, will provide additional problems for the economy at a time when recovery is still in its early stages. In sports, after being shelved for 2 years due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the University Athletics Association of the Philippines or UAAP returns with a 4-game bill to jumpstart Season 84 at the Mall of Asia Arena today, March 26. While the 3 other games are exciting in its own right, all eyes will be on the Battle of Katipunan as Ateneo de Manila University begins its quest for a 4th straight championship against University of the Philippines at 4 p.m. The Blue Eagles enter the season with a solid lineup despite losing 30 Ravenna, Isaac Go, Adrian Wong, twin brothers Mike and Matt Nieto, and White Ramos to professional leagues. Coach Tab Baldwin's lineup remains strong, led by naturalized player Ange Kuame and guard SJ Belangel, who both developed their games with Gilas Pilipinas during the off-season. They will team up with the returning players Tyler Teo and Matthew Daves, Brian Andrade, Rafi Verano, and the team captain Gian Mamuyak. All eyes will also be on blue-chip rookie Fortsky Padriagao, who is expected to play a big role for the team. Ateneo's strive for its 4th consecutive title also gets a boost from the homecoming of star winger Dave Idelfonso, who played for the Blue Eaglettes in the junior division but suited up for the National University in his first 2 years of seniors eligibility before returning to Blue Eagles' nests. The Fighting Maroons, on the other hand, are also talent-rich and hungry for a title. Antonio Contreras and Yan Macabenta are today's front-page columnists. Contreras tackles social media disinformation and mainstream media biases, while Macabenta weighs in on the confirmation of a new United States Supreme Court justice. Today's editorial hits out on the United Nations' financial support for Russia amid its invasion of Ukraine. Read a full version on the paper's opinion section or listen to the Voice of the Times. For more news and information, get a copy of the Manila Times on print, subscribe to its digital edition, or log on to www.manilatimes.net. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram and keep up with the Times. For the Manila Times, this is Paulo Tumapi.